Well, welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. In today's Crypto Corner, we are watching Bitcoin prices briefly moving above that $50,000 level for the first time since May, as enthusiasm in the whole crypto sector really has come back in the last few weeks. But these moves kind of putting an exclamation point on them, especially when you look at Ethereum and even deeper beyond the big boys in crypto. And for more on that, happy to bring back on with us today, Meltem Demir's, CoinShares Chief Strategy Officer, joins us once again. And Meltem, I mean, when we look at the moves here, it's always interesting because context might be a little difficult, but you have some good insight into kind of the enthusiasm, fund flows. I mean, what are you seeing about maybe the strength of this kind of renewed move forward?
Absolutely, and great to be back, Zach. I feel like I get to come back when crypto's either tanking or going up, so I'm happy to be on the flip side this time. Last time we were closer to zero than 100K. Now we're closer to that 100K mark than zero, so good to see. So at CoinShares, look, we have $5 billion in assets under management, and we use data and information to try to understand what's happening in crypto markets. And the place we always start is sentiment. If we look at sentiment around crypto, it has been a rough month for sentiment. There's been a lot of really exuberant news with more institutions offering Bitcoin in particular and Bitcoin related funds to their clients, more payments companies integrating crypto, and obviously Q2 earnings. We learned Robinhood is in fact not a stock trading app, but a crypto trading app with over 60% of their revenue coming from crypto. But at the same time, we've seen a lot of regulatory challenges with different providers and exchanges in the crypto space coming under regulatory scrutiny, as well as that infrastructure bill here in the US seeing a lot of activity around that one paragraph dedicated to crypto and crypto taxation. But if we look at the flows, right, so sentiment is step one. Sentiment translates into demand. And if we look at demand, we obviously are best known for our crypto exchange traded products that trade in the European market. We publish a weekly report on fund flows across all global publicly listed crypto products. This is the first week after a 6-week run of net outflows that we're seeing net inflows into crypto products. So what we saw throughout the summer, there was a lot of fear, there was a lot of uncertainty. We saw this in equities as well, and crypto is not immune. People were selling, crystallizing profits. Now we're seeing inflows again. I think as we look at sentiment and positioning going into the fall, a lot of firms, investors, institutions are looking to get long going into what we anticipate will be a very active fall for the cryptocurrency sector.
The potential just getting started here in the moves we're seeing play out. But it's not just, the inflows. There's also kind of, to your point on sentiment there, news across the sea. I mean, we talked a lot about things happening here in the U.S. when it comes to crypto, but overseas in the U.K., PayPal announcing that they're going to allow customers there to buy, sell, and hold crypto beginning this week. And so, I mean, when you see that move, how important is that maybe to bring on people who may not have, thought about trading crypto, now the ability there with PayPal?
Yeah, that's such a great question, Zach. And again, PayPal is, a company that's near and dear to us, together with Square, Robinhood, and several other firms. It's very important to see widely used, widely known apps that make the crypto experience really simple for users. That's a really important component of spurring adoption. Here in the US, about 15% of Americans own Bitcoin. And I think much of that is thanks to the fact that Bitcoin's really easy to access from a number of different apps that you can use on your phone, where you can hold equities, cryptocurrencies, and a lot of different assets. In the UK, the environment's been a little more challenging, particularly because of the FCA and their stance towards cryptocurrencies, which is decidedly very skeptical. But again, we have eToro in the UK, we have Luno, a number of other companies, blockchain.com, that have been providing this service in the UK market. PayPal by far is sort of the biggest household name entering this market. So I think, again, it's a sign, in my view, that every company will eventually be a crypto company. They just don't know it yet. And I think this trend is just getting started.
Yeah, I guess what's interesting, too, with PayPal is they let people, use crypto there to access a way to pay merchants through crypto holdings as well. And that's been one thing, that the sector has kind of debated, whether or not people would be using Bitcoin for transactions. But then, of course, you got the big explosion of NFTs and Visa also making a big acquisition, paying more than $100,000 for CryptoPunk, one of those NFTs out there. I mean, you've been watching the NFT space. It's one that's very difficult, I think, for traditional investors to really wrap their heads around. But I mean, what do you make of that move as Visa kind of dips a toe in there and says, look, these things might be for real. And of course, we've seen OpenSea and the trading volume there explode this month. I guess it's not a fad.
Well, Zach, at the end of the day, right, companies are in the business of making money. And for companies like Visa and MasterCard and PayPal and Square and others, the fact is there's a lot of money flying around in the crypto space. And at this point, it's a huge risk in every boardroom to not have a crypto strategy. What's interesting about the Visa purchase is they bought one of the cheapest punks out there. They swept the floor, as we like to say. A lot of the punks out there are priced in the millions, not into hundreds of thousands. But I do think that Visa with this move is really starting to prepare itself for this idea that NFTs are going to be more prevalent, not just in the crypto space itself, but as corporates look for new ways to engage with their customers and to create new revenue streams. We see this in the collectibles space. In Q2, many collectibles had record high sales. We look at baseball cards, right? Last winter, a Honus Wagner card was selling for $3 million. Now it's selling for $6 million. NFTs are not unique. I think across the board, we're seeing an explosion of interest in collectibles as people sit and look at their capital and say, where am I going to park this capital? Certainly people are not looking at 10-year treasuries and saying, oh, this is a long-term strategy. Not that these two are the same, but when it comes to speculative assets, I think NFTs, collectibles very much fall into the same category. It's entertaining, and it's also investing. And I think those two worlds of entertainment and investment are starting to merge more and more.
Yeah, the ape next to you there reminding me of Bored Ape Yacht Club, another one of those NFTs we've seen come up. Pudgy penguins, there's a lot of these things out there. But when you kind of back up and look at maybe the enthusiasm we're seeing right now relative to earlier in the year even, right, when we hit new record highs, I mean, when you put all the pieces together, how bullish do you think, the sentiment is kind of pivoting now to set us up? I mean, we've heard price calls on this show, $100,000 for Bitcoin by the end of the year. I mean, what are you seeing maybe in terms of where we're at?
Sure. Look, price calls, we can make those all day. I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I certainly, wouldn't be on this show. I'd be trading with my crystal ball. Look, at the end of the day, I think the only thing I can say with certainty is crypto is not a fad. It's not going anywhere. And the applications of this beyond just pure long-term investment are massive. We're seeing earn to play games like Axie Infinity are doing billions of dollars of revenue per month. OpenSea this month, which is an NFT marketplace, saw over $1 billion of secondary market transaction volume in NFTs. This is not a fad. There are elements of this certainly that feel a little speculative and bubbly. And I think those bubbles are highly localized and very common in new technology sectors and new investment sectors. But if we zoom out and we look at the secular 10-year trend here, the 20-year trend, the reality is that as our lives become increasingly digital, as we become increasingly global, interconnected, and markets become more connected and operate 24/7, 365, we're going to continue to see more and more assets evolve and pivot to be a part of this world. And eventually our view at CoinShares on the trading side is people will trade all sorts of assets across all sorts of different asset classes, across different metaverses. And that trend, again, is only accelerating. It's not just in crypto. We look at Q2 earnings. Every software company is talking about metaverses. This trend is here to stay. And again, we view crypto as a fundamental enabling component of this new digital world that we're seeing emerge.
Yeah, I was kind of reminded, over the weekend, just chatting about Bitcoin itself with some boomers out there still thinking it's all just crime money. We still got a ways to go, but love having you on to chat kind of the more fundamentals, the pieces behind the moves we're seeing here. Milton Demirs, CoinShares Chief Strategy Officer. Appreciate you coming back on. Be well.